Now, we've had a really interesting day. We've heard some incredible heartfelt stories. We've seen some really compelling data, and we've heard very, very interesting examples of how to actually go forward and do something with the things we've been learning. Now, what I wanted to close today on was an exercise in really thinking about ourselves and going back to ourselves as leaders. Now, I've got an activity for you to do, so I need everybody to have a pen and some paper available if you've got that. I can't see you all, I can only see the front couple of tables, so I'm going to trust. I'm trusting that the rest of the room has paper and pen. Now, to Adie's activity where she got you to draw a triangle in the air, I'm going to get you to draw a triangle on your piece of paper. So point at the top, equilateral triangle. We're not going to judge your drawing skills, so if your triangle's a little bit wobbly, that's okay. It actually will help reinforce the activity. All right, so you've got your triangle. Everyone got one? All good. All right, write trust in the centre of your triangle. All right, now there's three things that you're going to write around your triangle, one for each of the points of the triangle. So at the very top, on the top point, I want you to write authenticity. I experience the real you. Authenticity. I experience the real you. All good? All right. Now, on one of the other corners, I'd like you to write logic. I know you can do it. Your reasoning and judgment are sound. Logic. I know you can do it. Your reasoning and judgment are sound. All right? And on the final corner, write empathy. I believe you care about me and my success. Empathy. I believe you care about me and my success. Everyone got that? All right, now this triangle represents your leadership. And as it turns out, everybody has trust wobbles from time to time. We have times in our life or times in our leadership where one of those 3 points of the triangle gets a little bit wobbly or a bit unbalanced. And for me personally, I'm a very task-oriented person, so my wobble comes in the area of empathy. What happens for me when I'm under a lot of stress is that it's not that I stop caring about people, but I forget to tell them that I care. And so what will happen is I'll move away from this space of people feeling like I care about them as an individual. And it feels to them like I care about them only because of the task they can deliver for whatever it is I'm trying to achieve. Now that's something I've been aware of for a really long time, and something I work really hard on is remembering to, it's not about do I care about them, because of course I do. It's about I'm actually showing it in the moment. So that's my big trust wobble, and one that I've been working on for a long time. So what I'm going to ask you to do, and I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do this piece of quiet reflection, is I want to reflect on your own leadership and work out where your trust wobble is. So think about a time, maybe recently, where you felt that somebody hasn't trusted you as much as you would have wanted them to. And what I want you to do is, and this is going to take a little bit of, it can be a bit hard to do this, you've got to actually own this activity, is let's assume that it was your problem, not theirs. So let's call this person a skeptic. It was your problem, not theirs. And I want you to give the other person in this story of yours, the benefit of the doubt. And I want you to think about where the trust went wrong and which one of those 3 points of the triangle you had your wobble on. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to think about that, and then we're going to do some work in tables. All right, hearing some conversation, which indicates people have finished. So let's be brave and have a show of hands in the room. Who feels that sometimes their trust wobbles can be in the area of authenticity? So sometimes people aren't seeing the real you. So some people in the room. Who's got their wobble in the area of logic, that sometimes you're not as convincing about your expertise? Great. And who's got their wobble in the area of empathy, where you don't show up as if you care about people sometimes? Beautiful. So everyone's identified a wobble. Sometimes you might have more than one, and that's okay too. All right, so what I'd like you to do is in your tables, we're going to have about 15 minutes to have this conversation. So it'll be in tables for people in the room. For people who are on Zoom, you'll be going out to your breakout groups to do this. And what I'd like you to do is at your tables, create a list of action ideas for things that you can do to overcome common wobbles. So, for example, with my wobble around empathy, my main thing is stepping back from being really involved in my task and being really present with people. And that's something I have to remind myself to do, is it's not about the task, even though I might feel a sense of urgency and a sense of I've got to get this done. I've got to remind myself to step back, take a few deep breaths and be present in the room. And that's one of my actions that I use. So what I'd like you to do is come up with actions around the common wobbles and things that you think we could all use as actions. We probably won't have time at the end to take examples from every single table, but we'll be asking for a selection of ideas, because Angela said to me, it's not actually a bad thing if we go to drinks a bit early. So 15 minutes in your table groups, in your breakouts, and then we'll hear some ideas. All right, folks. Keen to hear your ideas, your actions, your thoughts. We're going to throw first to Ange up the back of the room, who's... I know I'm getting a timeout, not from Ange at the back of the room. Not ready? All right, I was going to say we'll throw to Ange and she can tell us what's happening on Zoom, but while we're waiting for that, let's take some ideas from the room. So who'd like to volunteer an action item for any one of those three wobbles? With a big loud voice or a microphone. Is there a microphone kicking around? Here's one. Sorry, it's pretty glary, so I can't actually see. So somebody wave your hands.
Hello. Well, Becky and Susan asked me to do mine, so I'll try. It took me a while to figure out how this works, but I think that mine would be empathy, actually, although I put my hand up for logic earlier because I got it the other way around. But my example is in relation to my brother. Like being the older sister, I've always sort of managed everything in its own way, and I do believe that he can do a lot of things, but sometimes I think I fail to show that I believe that I fail to show that I care about his success, and I think that he can do things. So I think that I probably need to be more empathetic in that way. So that's where I think I wobble the most. It's like reminding people that you believe in their success and the way they do things, rather than the other way around. So I think I hope I did the right way around.
Lovely. And has anyone got another action for the empathy wobble? And again, I can't see people in the room, so put your hands up and someone with a roving microphone will wave it at you.
I just shared an action that I can, go to task and forget the empathy in the moment, even though I feel it. And it's actually catching yourself, and when you've recognised you've done it, actually following up and fessing up and owning up and saying, apologising, and then say, please help me, catch me in the moment, so I do it less often, because I still do it, but trying to build that behaviour and change my patterns and build the trust for others to call me on it. So,
Beautiful, thank you. Other trust wobbles, who's got some ideas and actions? I can't actually see that. I can see to the second row of tables. Past that, you guys are all sort of black. There's just a blur out there.
So just further to Bess's comment, we talked at this table about a particular initiative that I took on, because I'm very much about going to task and missing out the empathy piece. So part of our meeting agenda when we come together as a team, a leadership team, is to actually stop and say, okay, what are the people things going on today? So we talk about any of the people-related issues, or what's going on for our team, and then we get into talking about task. So that's been really successful. That's
a great discipline to get into, is to remember to do the people stuff first before the task. And when I said that, I've had these wobbles in my life, I remember getting some feedback from a young woman in my team many, many years ago. She said to me, I feel like I can't do my best work for you because you don't care about me as a person. And I was completely gutted to hear that. And I asked her, I said, what am I doing or not doing that's telling you that? And she said, you know, sometimes on a Monday morning when you're super busy, you just get straight into work and you don't ask me how my weekend was. And I get the feeling that you don't actually really care about me other than what I can do in terms of work output. It was a huge learning for me. You know, like I said, I was devastated. I was completely gutted to get that feedback, but I needed to hear it. I was really glad she told me. All right, other trust wobbles and ideas.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Joyce. We discussed my trust wobble, which sits inside logic. Not so much the judgment part, but more the reasoning. And I asked the people at my table for some tips and hints. And we came up with taking the urgency out of it, which doesn't really help with making decisions on the spot that sometimes need to happen. And I thought of that a little bit more just in the last minute. If I continue to ask questions to get a bit more to the bottom of the issue, it will actually give me a little bit of time to process, because I cannot make decisions on the spot that well. I need a bit of time, even if it is a couple of minutes, and taking the urgency out of it and taking that breather and asking a few more questions, I think will help me to make a proper decision, which will establish a bit more of the trust.
Wonderful. That's a great idea. Has anyone got one around authenticity? Ange, is there anything coming in from the Zoom groups?
No.
Not yet? Anyone got anything on authenticity?
Oh, you're awake now, are you?
That's exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, hi. My one is authenticity. It's Lee here, by the way, if you can't see me. Authenticity is really important to me. Like, it's absolutely crucial to my identity, and I try to live my life as authentically as I can. But when I get tired, like I'm tired now, I find it really difficult to continue to be present in the room. So I kind of try to be here, whereas in actual fact, I just want to be at home, watching the final episode of The Split on ABC iView. And it's true. So so I lose my authenticity in that I lose my voice, and to say to people, I just don't have anything left for this right now, because I like to think of authenticity as just the good stuff. Like, I'm here to listen, I care, but actually authenticity is also, actually I'm tired and I don't have enough for this right now, and that's much more difficult, because then I fear that people will judge me.
And that's where authenticity really shows up, isn't it? Because if you stayed in the room when something like that happens and you pretend you're listening and you pretend you're present, people know that you're not. You know, people are incredibly good at reading faces and reading body language, and they know when it's not authentic. So if you stay there and you pretend something that's not really real for you, you actually do more damage. It's actually far better to say to somebody, you know what, I can't do this right now, I'm just really tired. Maybe you're an introvert. I am. I'm very clear about my preference for introversion. And my husband said to me, he said, you know, given you're in town, I'm going to come and pick you up. Do you want to go for dinner tonight? And I was like, no. I will have been spending a whole day with people. I'm going to want to come home and just chill out on the couch and do nothing. And he's an extrovert, so he's like, aw. He was a bit sad. He wants to go out and party. But yeah, it's about showing up authentically to people. Any other ideas?
Hi, it's Adrian here. So yeah, mine was a trust wobble was around authenticity as well, and when I was thinking and reflecting on it, I think courage was a word that came to mind very, very quickly. And sometimes when I reserve or become more quiet, it's when I feel like there's not that safe place to actually feel like I can actually be authentically me. And if that is the case, it's actually also calling out where there is not a safe place.
Yeah, so important, isn't it? All right, we've probably got time for one more. Anything else?
Hi guys, it's Susan. I have known about my authenticity wobble in that I wear a mask and mine is driven by perfectionism. So I feel, being the leadership specialist, I should know it all, or I should get it, nearly 100% right, and yet I am caring for our leaders and saying, your kit bag of brilliance is unique to you, and you don't have to be all things to all people. And I just shared with the team. See, guys, you've turned into a team. So And we were like, oh, shall I trust you with this information? And then we're quite trustful now. But I shared with the team, and I'm happy to share this. And I think there's seven of us from Tas Networks here today, which will give you an indication of how passionate we are with leadership and trust. But at the beginning of COVID, I had to ring our employee assistance program to get myself a psychologist, and I'm a qualified counsellor, because I could see myself disappearing and avoiding things because I was so overwhelmed of how to run my role full-time and homeschool my son, who was 8. And all I did was just go, yep, dump, 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 dump. And so with mental health, my commitment working as a member of Tas Networks is to call it out that, yeah, ring AAP, they're fantastic. They were helpful. So even at my level and with what I know and being a qualified counsellor and yada, 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 I needed help because I couldn't see the wood for the trees and I wanted to come out of COVID healthy for myself and for my son and for the people that I work with.
Thank you for sharing. Really appreciate that. All right, so in closing, I wanted us to go away from here and do some reflecting and some pondering. What will we do in our workplaces and in our communities? What do we need to build and what do we need to repair? And think about what the possibilities are coming out of this program. We don't want it to be something where you've got together and had a really nice day and listened to some fun and interesting speakers, and then you walk out of here and it means nothing. I want you to go away and really think about, what you can apply from this. So in closing, for me, I'm going to hand over to Angela in a moment, but I just want to say thank you to all of the speakers. We've had some incredible people in the room today, haven't we? It's been just phenomenal. I want to thank Tas Leaders for putting this on and all the behind-the-scenes people that made this happen. I know there's been an organising committee, there are staff here, there have been people working on the Zoom rooms and the breakouts. There's been the staff here at the venue who've handled the tech amazingly. They've had great food. It's been so hats off to everybody who worked behind the scenes very quietly and often don't get acknowledged. And I also want to acknowledge everybody here in the room as participants for making the time to attend this really important event. And I want to leave you thinking about this. I really want us to believe in a world where trust really flourishes. Thank you.
I'm very aware that I'm the only thing standing between you and a cold beverage of your choice. But it would be remiss if I don't echo and back up Ros's thanks to the entire team that have put this on. But most of all, Ros has had one of the hardest jobs of remaining present and connecting and weaving all of the speakers together. It's a thankless job, but it is critical to the success of each day. So Ros, we've given you one of the pot plants from the table, which in our economic environmental way at Tasmanian Leaders serves also as the gift for all our speakers. So Alan, you get one. Nick, you get one. Daddy L, you get one. Everyone who's helped us get one. I just wanted to do a little Ellen moment there where if you didn't spot that. I've also got a bottle of wine for Ros. Thank you. Finally, I must plug our sponsors. So first and foremost, the State Government of Tasmania through the Department of State Growth, whom we receive foundation support from to run the Tasmanian Leaders program. We also have corporate partners in Wind Television, RACT and KPMG. And thank you to everyone for coming along and supporting in our mission for better leadership for a better world. Please grab your drink card, hand it over, exchange it for a beverage. If anyone's not coming, you are very welcome to pass your card on to someone else. And we look forward to seeing you down there. Thank you so much.